Who knows? So Nicholas Nickleby is a very Dickens book. We do start with a little bit of prologue about the family. I'm just going to kind of skip over it, but it's something where his dad dies and the mum is now widowed, and then his uncle leaves the money, but then a different uncle's really mean or something. It doesn't really matter, but the situation is basically...
Is there any difference between this and David Copperfield?
No, there's no difference between this and any of his other books.
Okay, yeah. Thought so.
Yeah. So,
just the way you explain it, I'm like, that's just David Copperfield.
Yeah. The situation is basically we have Nicholas Nickleby, we have his sister and his mum, and their mean Uncle Ralph. And mean Uncle Ralph is like, well, I feel some kind of obligation now that my stupid brother's dead. And he literally comes into the man, the woman's, sad, like, oh, my husband's just died. He's like, well, madam, I wish to inform you that husbands die every day. Yours is no different. We'll move on. Zero sympathy.
Let's also send your son to the blacking factory.
Yeah, so he says we're going to send your son to work at a school. And he sends him to Mr. Squeer's school in Yorkshire at Dothby's Hall. And it's a very, terrible school where he, beats the children and all this. It's the same thing every time in Dickens, He sends the daughter to work in, a milliner's, a dressmaker's type of place. And the mum... He doesn't get her any work, he just gives them, a really crappy house to live in, basically. But he has an assistant who's actually, a good guy called... I think it's called Newman Noggs.
Very humble person, yes.
That in a moment. So Newman Noggs is actually kind of embarrassed to work for this mean guy. And he's like, well, I'm getting my wage and that's fine. But now that I see he's mistreating his family, I'm going to try to sneakily help him out here and there. So he takes him to the crappy house, but he's bought lots of nice furniture for it and things like that. And anonymously, he doesn't tell them, So he's a good guy. In the school, the teacher they meet the teacher to go to the school, and he charges the students £20 a year, but he pays the assistant £5 a year, so it's really underpaid for the teacher. And immediately they don't like him, and they make him the first night he gets there sleeping in the cold in a pile of straw or something like that. And then he's teaching the kids, and they're just like, oh, we like to teach the kids with practical use. So they want to learn what flowers are, get out there and do the weeding in my garden for me. You want to learn about animals, go feed my dog or something. So they just use the kids...
Labour.
Slave labor. Yeah.
What else are they for?
Yeah.
Right, coming from the person with 4.
Yeah, I'm very well to do. Thank you very much. One to get my slippers, one to get the tea.
Yeah. There's one kid called Smike, and... Smike has been there for a long time. The first few years, someone paid his fees, and then they stopped, and they don't know where this kid came from. He's an orphan boy, poor orphan boy, Smike. So they just use him to be like a dog's body, run around and do all the chores around the place. He's not getting any wages, and he's kind of being kept there against his will. And when he tries to leave, they tie his legs together and kidnap him back. So this poor guy is as a slave, essentially.
Yes.
He's not allowed to leave.
It's human trafficking, basically.
Yeah. So poor Smike. Nicholas goes to the school. I thought it was going to take a lot longer, but in a very short period of time, he's like, this school is terrible, we've got to do something about it, So he leads a rebellion, basically. And because the guy's just beating the kids. They're in the station on the way to the school, and one of the kids sneezes. And he's like, what was that? What did you say? He's like, nothing, sir. I heard something. He's like, oh, I sneezed. He's like, then why did you say nothing? I just punches the kid in the face. And the kid falls off the chest he's on, and he's like, and there'll be more of that when we get back to school, So it's really rough.
I mean, teaches them early.
Yeah.
God forbid you sneeze.
So...
Robert, any comments?
I feel like my silence is just screaming. No, don't hit children. Why do I have to give the disclaimer?
Public service announcement. Don't hit children.
We do not condone child violence. We do, however, find it hilarious.
Yeah.
To quote Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Reaching deep.
References
I'm
here.
skipping over a lot. The reason that Nicholas is poor is, for example, because his dad invested all his money in the institution of the United Metropolitan Improved Hot Muffin and Crumpet Baking Punctual Delivery Company. And they didn't make any money, and he wasted all his money on that. So there's some nonsense that goes on, but to give the sort of summary version, Mr. Squeers mistreats all the students, kidnaps Smike. Squeers' daughter falls in love with Nicholas, and he's like, yeah, I'm really not interested in you. Your family are really horrible people. You're abusing all these children. So then she turns on him, but she introduces him to her friend and the friend's fiance, John. They're really nice people. They're like, yeah, we're kind of embarrassed by her. Like, we live in a tiny village. She's the only other person our age, so we're friends. But we're really like embarrassed by like their school and everything, So they're actually good people, and they help Nicholas and Smike escape. But when they break up the school, they just release all the children into the wild. Basically, they don't call their parents, and some of them they don't even know like how to do that. So they're just like, cool, the school is broken up. Go! These boys are all just like running around the countryside, being eventually rounded up by citizens over the next like few weeks or whatever. So that's kind of funny. Then it comes a little bit picaresque, and Nicholas starts like working in the theatre. I think books like this disappoint me in the real world, because he's like, you know what? Why don't I go to the theatre? And then like a week later, he's writing and acting in a play on the stage in like a famous theatre. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that in real life.
You mean the creative industry isn't like that?
Oh, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
The girl goes to work in the dress shop. She gets fired. Carla, sorry about this, but there's a really man-slut Italian guy.
So most Italian men
called Mr. like Mantalini or something. And
nothing offensive about that.
His wife is always running this shop, and he's like, oh, my precious, my jewel of my eye, my beloved. Meanwhile, he's flirting with every single female who comes in. He keeps faking suicides. Every time she calls him out on something, she's like, you're over there chatting with that girl. He's like, oh, I accidentally took this poison again. And he's like on the ground, like, he just does it like 4 times. It's quite funny.
Just opens his eyes. Is she gone yet?
Yeah, it's basically that, yeah. Turns out, though, that shop gets shut down because they're in debt to the evil uncle, Ralph Nickleby. So, to skip a lot of the picaresque stuff and everything, what basically happens is Nicholas goes away for a while and comes back to realise Ralph is not being nice to his sister. All his friends, who are like sirs and lords, are making like insensitive remarks that affect her reputation, so he has a duel and I think maybe kills one or nearly kills one of them. But there's this 70-year-old man, and he wants to marry this 18-year-old girl, who's also the girl that Nicholas is in love with. So Ralph uses his power and connections and money to try to make that really disgusting marriage happen, against the girl's will, of course. But the father sells her off, basically, because he owes money to Ralph as well, so it's, So a lot of the story then becomes this love story of Nicholas trying to get his girl by stopping this creepy old guy from doing it. It kind of gets saved when, as a bit of a coincidence, the day before the wedding, her dad just randomly dies. It's like, oh, guess he can't make you marry then, because he died of... No one cares about the reasons, basically. Let's move on, And then there's a Mr. Squeers from the school comes up with Nickleby and the bad old man, and the 3 of them are like a kind of crime syndicate. They go sneaking around and doing stuff, and they have to find ways to stop them. They eventually, of course,
artfully dodging the police.
The good guys win, of course.
More Dickens references. Yes.
Of course. There's these 2 amazing brothers, Ned and Charles, and their employee Tim Lincolnwater. And they're almost like, if Ralph is too much of a cartoon villain, they're too nice. So they're just like, we're going to give you this lovely house to live in, you're going to stay with us, you're going to work with us, we're going to give you a promotion, you're going to work here. Why don't you... we have his nephew. Why doesn't he just marry your sister? And then, like, everyone... The book ends with a triple wedding.
Okay.
Everyone's just like, cool, I guess we all get married. What if the clerk who works for them marries this the landlady that the Nicklebys were living with, and, like, everyone just gets together, Nicholas gets his girl... But the old brothers are really nice. Tim Lincolnwater's this old guy. They're all like white-bearded old men, and he's been working for them for 40 years, and they keep trying to make him a partner, but he's like very subservient, very humble, and they keep being like, "Oh, Tim Lincolnwater, he's too young, and he'll be out there sowing his oats, and he'll be out there trying to get a new situation for himself." Meanwhile, this guy is like their only friend and has worked for them for 40 years and is obviously going nowhere. Random people sort of start appearing. This one guy appears and says he has some dirt on Ralph. That's what they use to eventually bring the whole thing down. Sometimes these Victorian books get a wee bit too coincidental, though, because at the end they're like, I remember Smike, the poor orphan boy. He's actually Ralph Nickleby's long-lost son all this whole time. right after he dies, they're like, Ralph, you just let your own son die, so then Ralph like kills himself, and everything falls apart, and the school teacher gets arrested, and all this stuff happens. So it just gets a bit crazy, and then it turns into a triple wedding, and it's like the end. Everyone's happy, like it's fine.
Very serendipitous.
But this was the best book I've read all year.
I mean, how would you like it to have ended?
That's the thing. I don't know if there was a better way to end it. To be honest, it ends really, really nicely.
With 3 weddings.
Well, he still says it's the best book he's read all year, so...
I know, but I feel like complaining about the ending of just like, they all live happily ever after, and that's disappointing.
Sometimes Dickens does a wee bit too much of the coincidence, where it's like, well, actually, he was your long-lost son, and then this person used to know you, and then this person did this thing, and then, we solved it all because an old employee of Ralph's came back and had a lot of dirt on him, and it's a wee bit too much coincidence.
It's very like in a Shakespearean theatrical tradition, sort of.
Yeah.
Everything is connected.
I mean, if you don't want it to be like that, then you have to add another 200 pages to it to explain where everything comes from.
Or it can end badly,
Yeah.
We have to do it the George Eliot style of...
Yes.
Yeah.
A bad ending.
And the very last paragraph, it just describes they're all living in a nice little cottage, and even Noggs moves in with them for some reason, like he's living next door or something and tending to their grounds, and they have a load of kids, and they all honour their poor dead cousin Smike. So it's like, that's really nice, and just like a little happy ending, I always say in Shakespeare, things would go a lot better if people would just learn to talk to each other. In Dickens, they would go a lot better if people were just not one-dimensional cartoon villains, I think. They'd just try to do a single nice thing in their entire lives.
What was the play we read recently that was like, it'd be great if they talked to